Hey guys, how's it going? It is I, the real Randy Chavez, coming at you with This is just a random video, and this one's gonna be. There's been a hell of a lot of controversy around it. It's gonna be what I think of COVID. Um, I don't know where to begin. I'm not gonna lie. I have not gone under the science at all with it. I mean, a little bit based on okay, we know it is extraordinarily contagious and is very, very easily transferable. Like so much so that uh, you probably won't get it if you're wearing a mask and you're social distancing. That has been kind of a proven thing. Like, okay, most likely you'll be fine. Um, People that do show symptoms, they can vary. Some pretty mild, a little bit achy, a little bit sore, kind of like the flu, out for a few days. Some people get absolutely fucked. Some people just like, and some of them are healthy people. Most of them that are usually older people, they're usually out of shape, usually have underlying conditions. But sometimes it just, your body reacts to it where it just fucks you. Um, I have the antibodies. I either got the antibodies by being exposed to it and my body just fought off. I didn't know I had it, or I was very sick in January, and there's a chance that I had it. I thought it was just a flu. Nobody tested me for it because it wasn't like a thing really yet. Like we heard about it, but it wasn't that prevalent. This is a couple months before lockdown. We didn't lock down until March, I think, and I was literally like right there in bed, just like it sucked. But yeah, I was 3 4 days I was fine. But a lot of people, like if you're older, if you have a pre-existing condition that's like kind of bad, or you're out of shape, it's I don't want to say it's a death sentence, but the average age that it kills is older than the actual like human life expectancy. Let's say life expectancy for let's say males and females, they're definitely different, but let's say they're 80 years old. The average age that this disease kills is like 82. Like it's older than that. So if you get it and you're older than that, yeah, it's I don't say it's lights out, but yeah, it's very, very deadly to older people that are fat and sick. Um, it seems to, in again, just me kind of just watching the news sporadically at work because I don't have a TV, is just that kids, it doesn't really affect that much. Kids are for the most part immune to it. That's why I think a lot of people are just like, oh, they can send them back to school, and then only on to college. I had like 300 cases in like the first week. So there was like, yeah, maybe we should send these guys home. So they sent the guys home, and I was like, okay, God, I don't know how I feel about that. Like, it's one thing if you're at college and you can kind of like quarantine, if there's buildings for you to quarantine in. It's another thing, like, with school, like, the girl I live with, one of the friends that she goes to schools with, she lives with her grandma. And they had to quarantine off a section of the house because, God forbid, someone brings it in and they give it to her. Um, that being said, her grandma is absolutely miserable, as are a lot of old people that are just stuck because they don't want to get it. And, like, one friend, Ludwig, who is like 80 something years old, just so sad. Last time I talked to him, he's absolutely morose. Like no one visits him anymore. He can't go out shopping. I'm actually surprised that he's still like alive because not because he's out risking himself. It's just if you have to quarantine for that long, not see any of your friends, not see any of your family, young people, it just when you get older, you don't have that many social connections, especially when you get like old. Like, all right, if you're in your 50s, 60s, yeah, you can still do stuff. But when you're that old, there's not that much that, you can still do. Going out shopping for food, seeing your family is one of the few things that you kind of still have to look forward to. Um, I feel so bad for those people that just can't do anything, and it sucks. And then, not even just older people, but my friend Jill, one of my best friends in life, went to Harry Potter World with her last year in 2019. Known her for years, and she has a compromised immune system. Thankfully, she has a bunch of dogs, and she's doing other stuff. But yeah, she gets it like it's done. Like she can't like she'll die. Um, so I just anyone that is immune compromised and old, like I don't know what I'd do because I mean, like, what the fuck is the point of life? Especially if you're old. Like if you're young and immune compromised, okay, kind of wait till vaccine and stuff, and you could, kind of take risks here and there. I guess because I don't know, not in that position. But if I'm old and I've lived my life already, fuck it. I'm going out. If I get it, like let Rocky for if he dies, he dies. If I die, I die. Because like, what's the point of life? What's the point of living if you can't see your friends? If you can't see your family? Like, my friend Ludwig, I feel so bad for him. Back when my friend, a friend of mine, used to live with him. That's kind of how I met him. A family member of hers, that's her grandpa. And when she moved out, his son, who I'm really good friends with, he said, "Hey, can you do me a favor? Like, just check on him once in a while." And okay, we're friends. He was in the army. I was in the Air Force. So I was like, okay, we go have a few beers once a month. We go, we talk, we chat, and that worked out fine for a couple months until COVID, and then I can't go anymore, and that's horrible. That sucks. Um, and right now, like kids, I don't know if they understand it really, like younger kids, and all right. This all being said, that sucks. I understand it. Like, if you're a young person, you're probably going to be fine. Like, if you're healthy, even if you get it, you're probably going to be okay. Like, again, I've said my piece as far as that goes. I understand like the disease. We dealt with. I don't know. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands in the U.S. have been, millions in the U.S. have been infected. I think like 100,000 in the U.S. are dead from it. Someone fact check me on that because I'm not 100% sure. Um, that seems like so much. I don't know if it's like that. Maybe that's worldwide. Anyway, moving on from that. Again, most of the time, again, those numbers, the timeline we had, again, because hospitals were closed and they couldn't do a bunch of these other procedures, and they said, okay, in order to help these hospitals, we need to get a large amount of like funding for them so they can test, so they can do this and that. And that was the point of the lockdown, is that because this was spreading so quickly, you don't want to overwhelm the hospitals, because already in flu season, like in general, pre-COVID, flu season was already, there's a lot of times where there aren't enough beds, and there's a decent amount of times where a lot of these hospitals, like they run at like 95% capacity already. So there's okay, quarantine, slow down the spread, don't overwhelm the hospital workers, and that's cool. Agree with that. And then it kind of turned into, okay, these hospitals that aren't making as much money because they can't do these other procedures, they get funding for how many cases, they get extra funding for how many cases they have of COVID. I'm not sure if it was how many cases they had or how many COVID deaths they had, but it seemed like the numbers were a little bit inflated. Like just saying like, okay, hospitals, and I don't know if I blame the hospitals because government says, hey, you can't do these other procedures. We're just focusing on COVID. And if they can't function, then they can't help anyone. So I don't know if I blame the hospitals for saying, okay, you know what? If this person had congestive heart failure but also had COVID, died from COVID. If this person had like diabetes, and okay, died from COVID. And it seemed like a lot of hospitals were doing that just to get funding because they weren't allowed to really do other things, like other procedures. So I don't know if I blame them for that or the government. It's a whole shitty situation. But then it kind of seemed like a lot of hospitals were doing that, and then just the COVID deaths. I'm positive that, let's say, the 100,000 COVID deaths, they were not because of COVID. I'm sure a lot of them were. I'm sure most of them were, but I'm sure several thousand of them were okay. He got hit by a car, but he had COVID. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was stuff like that. That they had already had other stuff. Maybe COVID accelerated it, but they were going to die anyway. And again, nobody has those numbers. Like, don't someone tell you, oh yeah, it's like 30%. Nobody knows because you can't collect all that data. It's impossible because you have to think that humans are 100% honest, and almost never are. Not 100% anyway. So that's kind of a weird feeling about that. And again, I understand why the World Health Organization said in the beginning, masks don't work, don't wear masks, because if they say in the beginning when we didn't really know what this was, if they say, hey, put on a mask. That is going to help contain the spread because it does, masks work, or at least they help. If you say that in the beginning when we don't know what this was, everyone is going to be buying masks, and then hospitals would have been understaffed. Hospitals would have been absolutely not understaffed, they would have been absolutely underfunded. They couldn't get those masks. So in order to prevent that from happening, the World Health Organization said to the general public, masks, don't worry about it, don't wear a mask, it won't help, so that the hospitals, the ones that are on the front lines, could have those masks. In hindsight, should they have said, guys, listen, just quarantine, you could Uber Eats, do whatever, I have a bunch of MREs, do not leave unless it is absolutely necessary. Again, a couple weeks. If they would have said that, and they would have said, masks work, but we do not want everyone to go get some because we need them for hospitals. They would have been honest with us. I think there would be a lot less conspiracy theories out there, like people saying like, "Oh, 5G causes corona. Corona's not real." And I was like I was amazed by the amount of conspiracy theories that there were, which I love. I love going on Reddit and just like at night, just like Reddit conspiracies, and they're crazy. But this was, that created a lot of distrust with the public, and it created a lot of animosity towards the government, the people handling it, and especially now, a few weeks, a month, sure, but when people's pockets start to get light, right now I think there's 30 million families or 30 million people that can't afford to feed their kids, and the government's still telling you don't go back to work. I would not want to be the government in that sense, because I'm very, very low maintenance. I don't have kids. Even if I did have kids, I have enough money to make sure that they are fed at least a little bit. Rice, beans, whatever. MRE's I can make sure they survive. But if you have people that are kind of living paycheck to paycheck, they're already late on their mortgage, and they can't, business owners that can't open up their bar or salon shop or whatever, what's the choice going to be? I could either not open up, do things safely that we know that we can do safely, so I can not do all of that, and my kids are going fucking hungry, or I could open up, operate safely, and I could feed my kids. What the fuck does the government think is going to happen? So many people are so angry about that, and I understand. As a business owner, I lost more than half of my net worth with that, with COVID, because I give out money to business owners, and let's say I had $150,000, 80,000 of it just went away because all those business owners I can't open up, I can't pay my bills, declaring bankruptcy. I took it on the chin. I almost fucking killed myself, but I took it on the chin, and I, right before COVID, I dumped most of the rest of my available capital into a second business. I started a second business the week before COVID shutdown hit, and I had nothing. I had nothing. I had nothing. And eventually I started collecting a little bit of aging receivables. Stock market tanked. And as I'm collecting some aging receivables, I was like, I just see a good opportunity here, and I just put the rest of it into stocks, mostly Tesla. But anyway, back to the COVID thing. I understand 100%. Again, we're in the beginning. We did not know what this was. This could have been the new Spanish flu that killed 100 million people. Could have been the next Black Plague, killed a third. We didn't know. So I was completely on board. All right, quarantining. I'm stocked up on alcohol. I'm stocked up on this. And, it sucks. Well, it sucks not being able to go to things that you love. Being in the military, I'm not anymore, really. I just have a sympathy. I have many sympathies for people that can't go to funerals, can't go to weddings, can't go to birthdays or graduations, because I dealt with all that before. And I understand, people being upset, not being able to go to their funerals, not being able to go to church. But at the time, it was for a good reason. It's because, God forbid, you go there and then you infect and 50 people die. I wouldn't want to be responsible for that. So, okay, no funerals, no churches, no large gatherings. Yeah, no nothing, no, none of that. And then George Floyd died. Breonna Taylor. I wish more of a reaction. I wish all of this was for Breonna Taylor, who was literally in her bed, not doing a goddamn thing at that moment. I don't know, her past or anything. Died there. But no, they made it about George Floyd. Either way, both of those things should not have happened the way they had happened, in my opinion. And then those Black Lives Matter protests, or really just police brutality protests, you take a bunch of people that, one, are like bored, they're frustrated, they're angry, and then you give them something to unite behind. Yeah, that's going to show up massive protests. And I didn't see the government condemning that. I didn't see, and I, again, military, I love people exercising their amendment rights. First Amendment, yeah. Speech, yeah, you have press, religion, but assembly, petition, boom. Like I'm 100% on board with that. But during a time where you're supposed to be, one, quarantining, and then I've seen a bunch of photos, and I've seen a bunch of videos. I'm going to say more than half the people were wearing masks. Probably, I'm going to say 75% of people were wearing masks, doing the right thing, peacefully protesting. Actually, most of the people are probably peacefully protesting. But I've seen videos and lots of pictures of people not wearing masks at all, definitely not socially distancing, and that's something that a bunch of these other people, not, taking politics aside, people that just couldn't go to their loved ones' funerals, and now there's how many hundreds of thousands of people in the street not social distancing, some of which aren't wearing masks, and some of which are burning down buildings, like black-owned businesses. If you want to burn down buildings, like, fucking take your shit to Congress. Take your shit to people that can change things. Don't burn down your own neighborhood. And this is getting far away from COVID, but this is like, fuck, man. That is the absolute wrong way to go about it. And people that are doing that, not getting reprimanded by the government, who up until that point said, hey, quarantine unless you're protesting, unless, like, that blows my fucking mind. So anyway, as far as this video's getting kind of long, as far as the vaccine is going, I think the quickest vaccine to ever be developed, I think, was for the mumps. That was it took about 4 years. So people and companies that are saying, no, we'll have I'll be done in 2 minutes.
So, bitch.
I love you.
I'm home.
Okay, 2 minutes. Okay, I love you. All right, fine. I just got called a bitch. So, yeah, the 4 years, and people and companies that are saying right now, hey, we'll have a vaccine by the end of this year, I would not take that vaccine. Now, again, I'm not like an anti-vaxxer. I'm not someone that says, like, vaccines will kill you, like maybe 0.00001%. Yeah, okay, you die. You have something bad happen to you, allergic reaction. They are not perfect, but they're damn near close. And again, being in the military, you are literally cattle, and people are injecting you with so much shit, especially when you go on deployments. You need like 20 fucking vaccines. Okay, anyway. I'm pro-appropriate vaccine. Obviously, you shouldn't give too much at once. Me being in the veterinary field before joining the military, yes, appropriate vaccination. Don't want to give too much at once, not in the same spot. Try to, good. 100% on board with that. But, again, the quickest vaccine to ever be developed was for mumps, and that took 4 years. And again, technology is a little bit better, but a lot of these companies that are on, like, Operation Warp Speed, or companies that are chosen, like, that see their stocks going through the roof, you think they're not cutting corners a little bit just to say, like, we're the first one that did it? I think that it's very possible that corners are being cut, not all the regulations are being followed, because they have a lot of pressure from the public and the government to get a vaccine out. So when I say I don't want to take that vaccine if it comes out this year, that's the reason why. I feel like that's not the safe way to do it. If they would say, like, hey, we're having a really good, trials going, maybe by the end of next year we could. Cool. Year and a half. I would feel much better about taking someone's time, getting it right. God forbid you do something wrong and it causes a huge ass pandemic worse than this. I would feel much better if it took a year and a half, 2 years to get a vaccine as opposed to under a year, which is fucking insane to me. Again, it goes back to people being honest or not. Anyway, guys, that's it for me. I'm sorry this went on for so long. I have so much other stuff to do. Let me know what you want in another video. Continuing podcast starting on Friday. I'll catch you all later. Bye.